Tribhuvan University, Central Department of English. Writing a research proposal. A manual for MA English students. March 22, 2015. Preliminaries. Why do you need to write a research proposal? You want to convince the research committee that your project is feasible and pragmatic. Your research has potential to make a significant contribution to the field. You want to establish that the project is of a real scholarly merit. You want to establish your own credibility as a researcher by showing that you have working knowledge, expertise, and understanding of the nature of project you have proposed. You want to show that the project is exciting, new, and original. You want to have the research committee apprise any ethical issues that might arise and get the prior approval. Ethical issues arise if you intend to research human subjects, collect primary data, solicit people for information, use unpublished information or data. You want to give a comprehensive preview of your project so that the committee knows in advance what your project would be like. Whether you carry out the proposed research depends on the quality of the proposal you submit to the research committee. What should you do before writing the proposal then? By the time you think you are ready to write a research proposal, you must have done at least the following. You have identified a tentative area of study or a topic. You have closely read the primary sources, that is, the texts you want to explore in your research. Be able to locate the problem or issue or topic within the text. For instance, if you want to analyze Gilman's story, Yellow Wallpaper, by using Foucault's notion of panopticon to find out how space functions in the story, you have to be able to state where exactly in the story you see Foucault's concept fit in. You also want to be able to cite examples from the story itself that present space as something problematic. You have tested the validity of your topic. That is, once you have tentatively identified the topic, you must do a thorough library research to find out if a similar type of research has already been carried out. If so, you must figure out how yours would be different. You must have read a number of secondary sources closely related to your topic so that you can position yourself within the ongoing scholarly debate. You have thoroughly considered the logistics of doing the proposed research, identified possible advisors who could effectively guide you in that area and researched on the availability of sources you might need to complete the research. You have carefully studied the departmental requirements in terms of thesis format, time allowed to complete, and so on. You have familiarized yourself with the conventions of academic writing, such as style, documentation, research manuals, and the required mode of writing and argumentation. What shouldn't you be doing while writing a research proposal? Never attempt to write it without having carefully read the texts you propose to analyze. Do not mention a secondary source unless you have read it and you know exactly how it relates to your topic. Do not write it unless you have consulted your prospective advisor or a faculty who specializes in that area. Do not mention a concept or theory unless you are sure of what it is and how it can be productive in analyzing the primary sources. Avoid using wholesale language such as I am going to use Foucault in X text, or I want to do feminist reading of Y text, or I am going to use X theory on Z text. Such vague statements mean nothing unless you spell out the exact text, concept, and idea with examples showing how that concept is relevant to your project. Do not propose to study something that is too obvious, self-explanatory, or descriptive. For example, analyzing a dance ritual from performance perspective is too obvious unless you further problematize the topic by bringing in other issues. Avoid using jargons, unexplained technical terms, sweeping generalizations, and unnecessary platitudes. Never state a claim without supporting evidence and examples. Never choose a topic that you think you know a lot about, because we do research to find out something we don't quite know, not to recycle ideas we already know. The proposal. Writing an impressive and comprehensive research proposal ensures the quality of research, and as such, it is a significant step toward successful completion of the project. Besides being a formal academic document, a research proposal has to be interesting, readable, and most importantly, persuasive enough to ensure approval of the research committee. How to write a research proposal. Point 1. The title page of your proposal. A title page of your research proposal must have the following information. A. It has short, intelligent, and explanatory title. B. The candidate's name, institutional affiliation, and department. C. Name of the proposed advisor, the advisor's institutional affiliation, and the date of submission, if applicable. D. And any other information that the department requires. 2. Introduction. research proposal abstract. In the introduction section, you will have to present a brief summary of your project. You should give the reader a succinct preview of what your project is. Remember, this is an introduction to your project as a whole, not the introduction to texts or writings you are going to study. Of course, you do mention the writers and texts, even cite examples, but you should use such references as a way of explaining the project to the reader. An introduction should address the following issues. What is the project? What texts are you going to analyze? What theoretical and methodological concepts are you going to apply? What would your overall argument be like? What specific contribution does your research make to the field of study? Or why should we bother to read your thesis research paper? Do not write banal and stock sentences such as, "My project will be beneficial for future readers and scholars." Be very brief, precise, and specific. Statement of problem. Issues, research questions. Although statement of problem is the standard terminology used in academy, this term is more applicable to research in the field of social sciences and pure sciences than in the humanities. Probably in this section, you will be discussing specific issues you have located in the text and pose pertinent research questions. Basically, a statement of problem in English studies should be a brief narration of what baffles, provokes, and puzzles you about the text that you intend to analyze. Think of ending this section with a research question or a series of interrelated questions. All you will be doing during research is to find out answers to these questions. Hypothesis, provisional argument. The term hypothesis often confuses students of English studies. Without going into technical details of what a hypothesis is, you should simply state what are your provisional answer or answers to the questions you have posed in the statement of the problem section. In English, we are more in the business of making informed arguments based on solid textual evidence than proving or disproving a mathematical enigma. So, what you come up with as an answer to the questions that led you to research, in fact, what hypothesis is. 5. Review of literature. In this section, you mention and evaluate the works of other writers which are relevant to your research project. Ideally, review of literature is the survey of works previously done in the area or the topic you have proposed to study. Remember, this is not a catalog of published works related to your topic. You should provide a coherent synthesis of others' works by bringing writers in conversation. That is, you should show us how one work is logically related to another, showing points and counterpoints. For each work, you should sum up the main argument, position, state how that writer comes to that conclusion. 6. Methodology theoretical framework. In this section, you succinctly mention how you are going to do the research. Limit yourself to every essential and necessary ideas, concepts you will be using during the research. Think of addressing the following issues. A. State what your primary research method is. Is it library research, field research? Are you going to collect data, interview informants? If library research, then what specific kind? Archival, periodical research, textual analysis, combination of one or more methods? B. If there are different approaches or theories on the topic, which one will you be using? C. Which specific trend do you intend to pursue from your literature review? D. What specific concepts, ideas within a particular theory are you going to use? E. What is your take on other approaches and theoretical frameworks? Or what are the major lines of criticism that can be leveled at research works? F. What major omission, gaps, or ignored areas can be identified and addressed? G. How do the concepts, theoretical framework, analytical method that you have proposed fit in your project? H. Why have you selected this particular approach, method, or theoretical framework? 7. Objectives and limitations. In this section, mention what exactly you want to accomplish by undertaking the proposed research and what limitations, blind spots, and theoretical anomalies you foresee about your project. You have to be very precise. Avoid stock responses such as because of the time limitation or required length, I could not do this and that. Your job here is to evaluate the nature of your own work and the quality of your argument and assess where exactly your work stands within the existing scholarship on the topic. Timeline or tentative schedule. Be very realistic and present a tentative work schedule for the completion of your work. If possible, take your proposed advisor's opinion into consideration. 9. Bibliography. Unlike works cited, a bibliography is a list of primary and secondary sources that you intend to use in your research and writing. What text to include depends on what your topic is and what theoretical framework you want to utilize. It must contain works that are useful and closely related to every aspect of your project. Remember, a bibliography is a provisional document that keeps changing as the work progresses. You will have to constantly add and omit texts once you actually begin researching the topic. Follow standard MLA documentation style to list works. 10. Works cited. A works cited page, unlike bibliography, is a list of works you have actually cited in a document. So, at the end, you will have to provide a works cited page in MLA format. Section D, the process. Writing a successful thesis proposal demands that you patiently and rigorously work during the initial phase, including finding a topic, locating an issue or a problem, devising a productive research methodology, and of course, proposing a provisional argument or a hypothesis. Even accomplished researchers often struggle to come up with ideas for research papers. The following are a few tips you might try out to get through this preliminary process. 1. Selecting a good topic, locating the research problem. Selecting a good topic largely depends on your ability to locate a specific problem within the text or an area of your interest and turn the problem into a research problem by asking important questions. This is absolutely not the place to make unfounded statements or claims. Hence, these two processes are interrelated. Either you first find the topic and then problematize it, or locate the problem first and then topicalize it. You cannot possibly deal with them separately. My advice would be that you first locate a research problem within the text or the area you want to explore, and then think of developing it into a topic. It always works for me, but you may have your own way of doing it. There are no hard and fast rules anyway. What then is a problem? Problem is the most confusing term used in the language of research. For example, many people were displaced during the Maoist insurgency in Nepal is a problem, no doubt, but it is not a research problem. A research problem is always about the unknown or the unknowns. What you have to do is pose question or series of questions about this state of affairs, questions the answer of which you don't yet know. So, your research is to solve the unknowns. Let us elaborate further. The fact that many people were displaced intrigues me, baffles me, provokes me, concerns me. So I want to research about it. Depending on my interest and my academic training, I will pose questions about it. I may ask, what are its economic repercussions? Or, how does the displacement of massive population from hinterlands affect marriage patterns in metropolises, cultural production, housing, ethnic relationships, and even the balance of power among political parties? Based on the scope of the project, available sources, and your interest, you may either stick to a single question or use a cluster of interrelated questions. Remember, as you research and understand the issue better, you may revise the question, or one question might lead to another complicated question. If your perspective about the topic or your provisional argument does not change during the research, then your research is not interesting and probably heading towards dead end. The more you change your ideas and perspective, the more interesting your project becomes. If you began with an idea and ended the thesis with the same idea, then it is like walking all the day and reaching nowhere. 2. How do I find my theoretical perspective? You should not begin research with theory obsession. You should not be imposing theory on your topic. Rather, your topic, especially the kind of research questions you ask, will invite theory into conversation. If you have no theory to begin with, that's even better. Let's say you want to explore effects of the displacement of people on ethnic relationships. Your research problem will demand that you know what ethnicity is, how inter-ethnic relationships are forged, and what binds ethnic communities together. So you will have to use concepts and theories that help explain the issues related to ethnicity and ethnic relationships. Suppose you want to study emergent gender relations caused by the displacement of people, then you will have to bring gender theory or some concepts developed in the field of gender studies. 3. How do I locate works relevant to my research? Researching for materials is like following patterns in a fabric. You pull one strand, it pulls many more strands until the entire piece of cloth is unraveled. The difficulty lies in locating first few sources. For this, you might want to do the following. A. Carefully select keywords from your topic and or research question you have posed in the statement of problem section. Suppose my research question is, how has the displacement of people during the Maoist insurgency affected gender and ethnic relations? The keywords would be Maoist insurgency, gender, ethnicity, ethnic relations, gender roles, and Nepal. B. Use the keywords you have selected to find materials or combine them to narrow the scope of your research. For instance, if I search for gender in Google, I will get millions of hits. It leads me nowhere. Hence, I need to combine gender and Nepal so that I get materials relevant to the Nepalese context. If I get a lot of hits, I will further narrow my search by combining three terms, gender and Maoist and Nepal. If I do so, I will get materials that deal with gender issues related to Maoist insurgency in the Nepalese context. Make a careful note of citation information of each material you have found using MLA citation format. Skim each material to see if it is useful before annotating or including in your literature review. Remember, unrelated material is not only useless, it also complicates your research and writing. 4. What should I do with works I have gathered? A. Read and make notes carefully, paying attention to your topic and research questions. B. Use different colors for summary, direct quotes, and paraphrases so that you know what is what when you actually use your notes. This also helps you avoid plagiarism. C. Annotate. An annotation is a concise summary of a work in which you summarize the main argument, mention how that argument is made, and evaluate as to how that work is going to be useful for you. When you actually begin writing thesis, you will make use of this annotated bibliography. Begin using MLA every time you make notes, jot down ideas, or locate a reference, etc. Section E. A list of useful websites for studies of literature. Arts and Letters Daily, Ideas and Criticism. Gives you access to some 100 newspapers and magazines from all over the world. URL www.aldily.com/. Next, Paul, Perspective in American Literature, a site developed and hosted by Paul P. Rubin, has pages on 453 American authors and major trends in American literature, including bibliographies. URL: http://www.csusten.edu/english/reubel/tabl.html. Next, Crossroads, an American literature hypertext. Maintained by the University of Virginia, this site has hundreds of classical texts of American literature accessible free of cost in hypertextual format. URL: http://xroads.virginia.edu/tandem hyper/hypertext.html. American Studies links, developed by Richard P. Horwitz, one of the renowned professors of American Studies. This site has great information about American Studies, including teaching strategies for professors. URL: http://myweb.uiowa.edu/rhorwitz/. Early American Digital Archive, maintained by the Maryland Institute of Technology. This site has digitalized original texts written about America from 1492 to 1920. Great site to read rare materials. URL: http://www.miths2.umd.edu/eada/. Commonplace. It is an online journal sponsored by American Antiquarian Society. It has excellent articles on American history and culture. Society for the Study of American Women Writers. This site offers free links to journals such as Legacy and has pictures, online texts, and other sources on American women writers. URL: http://www.wsu.edu/tandem campbell/SSAWW/index.html. VG Voices from the Gaps. This site provides information, texts, critical essays, and interviews on women writers of color, including African American, Asian, Caribbean, Latina, and so on. URL: http://voices.cla.umn.edu/. The Poetess Archive, hosted by Miami University. This site contains works by men and women from 1785 to 1900. URL: http://unixgen.muohio.edu/tandem poetess/. The Victorian Research Web. George Landau, one of the foremost authorities on literary hypertext, created this website. It has very stimulating discussion board. URL http colon two slashes www.bictorianweb.org literary history. This site is great to navigate through history of literature from 18th century to 20th century, including history of African American, Filipino, and post-colonial literatures. URL http colon two slashes www.literarhyhistory.com/. Schomburg Center for Research in Black Culture includes online version of works by African American women. URL http colon two slashes digitip.nypl.org/SCHOMBURG/AA19/ Internet Library of Early Journals. This is a digital library of 18th and 19th century British journals, including Blackwood Magazine, Edinburgh Magazine, Gentleman's Magazine, Notes and Queries, and Philosophical Transactions of the Royal Society. URL http colon two slashes www.bodley.ox.ac.uk/ILEJ/ Making of America. Sponsored by Cornell University, this site has 114 books and complete issues of 24 major periodicals from 1700 to 1920, including Harper's, The Atlantic Monthly, and Scribner's Magazine. http colon two slashes digital.library.cornell.edu/m/moa/ Literary Sources Theory, maintained by Jack Lynch, LYNCH, of RUTGERS University. This site has excellent sources on theory, including cultural theory. URL colon http colon two slashes andromeda.rutgers.edu/tandem jlyncs/lit/theory.html. OWL, the Purdue Online Writing Lab, for help in writing, including grammar, documentation, punctuation, finding research topic, and other writing and research related issues in English. This site is a gem. URL http colon two slashes owl.english.purdue.edu/. Books online. The following sites offer downloadable and hypertextual books, mostly classics. Google Books, archive.org, online books page at the University of Pennsylvania, a celebration of women writers, Project Gutenberg, Project Bartleby Archive, Open Library Project, Write American Fiction, downloadable fiction from 1851 to 1875. Section F, the format. The proposal should be typed or word processed. Leave 1.5-inch margin on the left-hand side, 1 inch on all other sides. Use standard font and size 12 point. 1. First page. Name of the institution. Center alignment. B. Title of the proposed thesis research paper. Center alignment. C. Type a thesis proposal submitted to the Central Department of English for the approval of the research committee. D. Type by your full name. E. Type Central Department of English, Kirtipur, Kathmandu, center alignment, followed by date, name of the month and year. Subsequent pages, introduction or abstract at least 10 lines. B. Statement of problem, 5 to 10 lines. C. Hypothesis, 5 to 10 lines. B. Objectives and limitations, 7 to 10 lines. E. Literature review, up to 2 pages. F. Significance of the study, 1 paragraph. G. Bibliography, at least 10 sources, including primary sources. H. Works cited, separate page, follow MLA style. Sample first page. Tribhuvan University, Blonde versus Brunette, Social Darwinism and the Representation of Female Beauty in James Fenimore Cooper's The Last of Mohegans. A proposal submitted to the Department of English for the approval of the research committee by ABC, Central Department of English, Kirtipur, Kathmandu, March 2015. Okay, in the next video, I don't want to make it too long. In the next video, I will talk about the research requirements and guidelines for MLA format for writing a proposal, and I will also talk about other factors related to writing a research proposal. I stop here.